So I thought I'd make another video. And so far, I think most of my videos have been centered on dialogue and perhaps flags and creating interactions between characters. Sometimes I feel like those guides can be a bit harder to come by, and I have just figured something out that will be very useful from my mod. And it might be useful for you guys as well. So my challenge is that I have several things that will happen to a character through interaction, and that this will set flags. For example, a positive flag or a negative flag. Now, conversations can trigger based on a flag being set, but I would have liked, for example, 3 flags out of 10 flags. If you get 3 of 10 flags, something will happen. So how do you do that? I tried thinking about it, and the only thing I could think of was the Nightsong points used for Shadowheart's quest, in which interactions with Shadowheart and the environment can lead her to have sort of a secret counter of points that will eventually trigger something by setting a flag. So how is that done? I will show you. So how do we make a flag counter? It's actually really simple. If you find the code, which I eventually did. Okay. So I have already made a conversation that we were supposed to have with the drow merchant Araj. I have to change this. Okay. Let's save it as Mintara Convo. So actually I've already made the osiris script and the dialogue and the flags. And I intended for us to have a chat with a certain drow blood merchant. But I could not find her in the files, so I had to... Well, first I thought we'd just run with calling Mintara something else, but I'm afraid to. So we're going to change everything into the right character first, and that is mainly changing the flags we've set. So let's go here, tag editor. We can find the flags. I once again gave them kind of stupid names. You should probably like call them, for example, this level is level 7. We have some flags. If I were smart, I would have named them something like that, but I didn't. I called them Orage. So Orage point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Let's change their names and see if that leads to a crash or not. It will now be Mintara points. This is looking awfully crashy. So the flags are currently not set, but they are of course part of a database in the script. So that could be the problem. I am certainly not an expert, but I think then if you run into this issue, probably either remove the script or make some new flags. So I think we'll go with making some new flags. Okay, so we're back. So if what you're doing crashes the toolkit, you're probably doing something stupid. Probably. So okay, let's make some new flags then. So let's open the conversation that I have already prepared for us. I have already changed it to fit Mintara. I've called it the Mintara Convo, you know. And yeah, okay, so we managed to set the Mintara point. But I'm not gonna have the toolkit crash for every flag I change. So we will add a custom flag. So how this conversation is structured is that she will ask us what you want. And then we will have 5 nice things to say to her. Or we can just leave. So we can tell her, I think drow are so cool. She'll reply, who doesn't? You can tell her, I hate drow who intermix with mind flayers, really. She is not sure if she believes us, but it will give us a point. And the first one will give us a point. I am not a student of the sanguine arts, will give us a point. You're much prettier than Deliria, will give us a point. I want to dominate the Underdark with you, will give us a point. So 5 potential points in this conversation. But what we want to happen is that when 3 different point flags are set through these conversation options, it will trigger it will trigger a new flag being set. So what's the difference from what I showed you in the last video? Well, in the last video, a flag would trigger a flag. That could trigger a flag. That could trigger a flag. But if you use this approach, you can have several different things happen in the environment, conversations with different characters, picking up different items, opening a certain door, giving someone something. If that sets a flag that is part of this point system, we can create a counter that will, at a certain threshold, trigger a new flag to be set. So let's fix the flags. I call the first one Mintara point 1. So we can call this Mintara point 2. So let's check that I called it Mintara point. Yeah. You gain a point with Mintara. It will not save unless you have a description. So I try to make a good description. You don't have to, of course, but if you're actually working on a mod, it's a good idea to be able to understand what your flags are. So, setting the flags. Okay, and then we'll make a flag that will be the one that is... we'll make a flag that will be the one to trigger when we have at least 3 points with Mintara. I will call it enough Mintara points. You have enough Mintara points. All right. So setting that flag will be a requirement to get this next conversation to trigger. That flag should also be part of the first conversation here. And this is only necessary when you have 2 different conversations in one file. Like if you set, for example, if you get 3 Mintara points, it will set a flag, and that flag can be used at any time later. So if you have a different level, the character can have a different conversation, or you can trigger a different conversation through scripting. And then we don't have to do this thing where we put this flag here in the other conversation. See, enough Mintara points. The reason we're doing this here is that the first conversation should not trigger when we have enough Mintara points. And the second conversation should trigger if we have enough Mintara points. So to be clear, this is only necessary when you have different conversations in the same dialog file. So we will just update our timeline, or we'll make one. So this is our file. Just check that the right people are talking. Sometimes this is a bit buggy. So this is a female drow. That's what she's called, this copy of Mintara. And the players are asking the questions, right? And she is answering. And the same down here. So because if an NPC is set to have a question, the conversation will just stop. So now you know. Okay, the conversation is ready. The flags are ready. What we need to do now is just to double check that she is set to have this conversation. My window management skills are not the best. Let's see. Yeah, so the conversation is set to Araj Convo, but we are not talking to Araj, we're talking to Mintara. So let's set it to Mintara Convo. That's the name of the file, right? And let's make the Osiris script. All right, we are in the story editor, and I've just done a generate definitions, build and reload, which can be really useful if you like put new stuff in your level. The sidebar has gone white, but please ignore it. I have made new little script called Mintara points. It is currently empty. So let's figure out what to do here. We are going to do something a little bit different than last time because we're actually adding something to our database. We are Now, currently just copying from my last script, but we have to change it because it's based around Araj. So first of all, it would be nice for us to call it Mintara, right? I'll just copy it a couple of times because I know we have 5. So what's happening here is that we are defining something for the database that we will call Mintara draw point condition flags. So we are telling the toolkit which flags are part of the draw point collection, right? And they will not be called Araj points. They will be called Mintara points. This is the problem with, yeah, there you go, making stupid names. Mintara point number 1 is this one. Add the parentheses. Then we have, let's just try point 2. So we get Mintara point 2. Mintara point number 3. Mintara point number 4. Mintara point number 5. And oops, do remember, we need to get it right. Add the parentheses and the semicolon. And then we will use a proc declare counter. So we are making a counter over these flags. If these flags are triggered, they will be counted. We will call it Mintara draw points. Okay, so that's the init part of the script, and then we move into the KB part. All right, so I've pasted the KB part of the code as well, and that will read if it's a global flag from the database. So you have to make sure that the flags you have made are global flags, and you can see that when you make a flag, you can select if they're local or whatever, but these are global flags. And it's from the database, Mintara draw point condition flag, right? Then we will do a procedure increase counter, and that has to be the same as what we defined above, right? Mintara draw points. And then the script continues. So proc counter increased, Mintara draw point values, and if the value is equal or more than 3, something will happen. If this flag we made to trigger is not already triggered. So what did we call that? Let's see. So name it something smart, please, because I have not. So enough. We called it enough Mintara points. Yeah, that's the flag. So if the counter has increased and the value is equal to or more than 3, and this enough Mintara points flag is not set, then we will set the flag, right? Which is enough Mintara points. Okay, so let's try to build this. Exciting. Yeah, build success. So let's see if it works.
Can't slow down.
Let's try to speak with her. Hello, Mintara. Yeah. Okay, so the conversation is working. She has no facial animations or anything, but I mean, she is really pretty, so let's tell her that. You're much prettier than Delivia. Okay, let's leave. When we speak to her again, we can still have all of these options. And we know that we need 3 points, right? So what do we say? Well, I think draw are so cool. Okay. We should have 2 points now. Let's try and speak with her. Same conversation. I want to dominate the Underdark with you. Yeah, she thought she'd have to go alone. So let's leave now. So if our mathematical inclinations are correct, something should have happened now because we have 3 points. So let's see. Yeah, so a different conversation now triggers. So our counter is working. She's asking us if we'd like to come and murder her family in Mensabaransen and rule at her side. That's all I ever wanted. Good, because it is what she wants. Yeah, So this little video has shown you how to make a flag counter, and that can be super useful if you are making something that's story focused or works in the same way as the Nightsong points with Shadowheart. So this can be hidden in the background and then be used to keep track of flags. So you're welcome, and I hope you enjoyed.